Hey guys, it's Landon from toughtbysurveyor.org. Trying a new video audio setup here for some problems we're going to try and work on the desktop. I've never done this before, so I'm not sure how it's going to work, but we're going to try it out. So I've got some worksheets. These are available on the website. So I've got a couple of them, 2 fraction worksheets and a long division. So we're gonna work through those on paper, and hopefully I'll be able to record here and you guys can see me work these. Let's see if I'm lined up alright my camera. Okay, so we're gonna start with let's start with fraction worksheet 1. So we're just adding some fractions here, and we need to be able to find common denominators, right, in order to add. So problem number 1, we've got 3/4 plus 5/8, or 3/4 plus 5/8. We need to find a common denominator there. So 4 and 8 are both divisible by 2, right, which means we can use 8 as our common denominator. So we don't need to do anything with 5/8, so I'm just going to, we'll come back to that. So we don't need to do anything with this. That can stay the same. But this, we got to turn the 4 into an 8. And so remember, when you're working with fractions, if you're going to get a common denominator, whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So to make 4 8, we've got to multiply by 2, which means we've got to multiply the top by 2. So we end up with something that looks like this, 3/4, and we're going to multiply that. We're going to go 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom. Okay, so what that's going to give us is that 3/4 becomes 3 times 2, and then 4 times 2, so we have 6/8. Okay, so now we can add because we have a common denominator. So we're going to come down here and say we have 6/8, okay, plus 5/8. Okay, so what does that equal? So 8s go across. All right, the denominator just goes across. Okay, 6 plus 5 is 11. Okay, so we have 11/8. Now, that's an improper fraction most of the time, and I don't say here, so that should have got fixed. But most of the time, if they don't tell you, you can't leave your answer in an improper fraction. Sorry guys, I keep losing this tracking. I got to leave the tracking off because I keep putting my head down, so sorry about that. I'm going the wrong direction, hang on. Okay, so most of the time you can't leave your answer in an improper fraction, so we need to convert that. Okay, so here's how you do that. You take the denominator minus the numerator, so, sorry, you take the numerator minus the denominator. We get 3 left over, or 3/8. Okay, so what we have is, we have 1. Okay, so 8 goes into 11 one time with 3 left over. So we have 1. 8 goes into 11 one times. And then we have, what's the remainder? 3. Right? 11 minus 8 is 3. That's the remainder. 3/8. 1 and 3/8. So that's the answer. 3/4 plus 5/8 is 1 and 3/8. And I'll do some other videos where we convert improper fractions to proper, and proper fraction as proper. Okay, so let's go to number 2. So we've got 2/3 plus 1/2. Again, we need a common denominator. These are pretty small denominators, so we can just multiply these together to get 6 will be our common denominator. So in this case, we have to change both of these, right? So we're going to put 2, 3. Now we need to get these. We need to get this number to 6. So to do that, we're going to multiply by 2. Which means we also have to multiply the top by 2, the numerator. Okay, so that is going to give us, I'm a little neater on this one, that's going to give us 4 over 6. So this right here becomes 4/6 when we make it have a common denominator. Then we have 1/2. We're going to do the same thing. Got to convert it to our common denominator, times. So to get 2 to 6, we need to multiply by 3. So we're going to multiply the numerator and the denominator by 3 because we have to do it to both, top and the bottom. Okay, so 1 times 3 is 3. and 2 times 3 is 6. And this is how I want you to write it out when you do it, just like this, neatly on the grid. Okay, that'll help you if you're messy or dyslexic. That'll help you. Okay, now we can actually do our addition. So we got 4 6 plus 3 6, 3 over 6 equals. Okay, we just add across the top. So the numerators add together 7, and we just carry over this common denominator 7 6. Now remember, this is an improper fraction, so we want to convert it. 6 goes into 7 one time. Okay, when we have a remainder of 1, so that's 1 and 1/6. Okay, so 2/3 plus 1/2 is 1 and 1/6. Okay, this is the answer here as a proper fraction. Okay, let's jump down to number 3. Don't fall asleep yet. Okay, number 3, we got 1/3 plus 3/4, so we need a common denominator there. These are pretty small numbers, denominators, and neither one is divisible by 2, which means probably multiplying them together is the best bet we've got. So we could do 3 times 4 is 12. That looks to me like that's the first number those will both divide into evenly. So 12 is our common denominator. We can write that down here and just put it in a little diamond for you guys. So that's going to be our common denominator. So we got to convert these. So we're getting some practice at that. Okay, so we've got 1/3. We need to get that to 12. So to do that, we've got to multiply 3 by 4 to get to 12, which means we need to multiply the top by 4 in the numerator. Okay, that's going to give us a new fraction. 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 4 is 12, so we get 4/12. 1/3 is 4/12. Okay, then we got to do our next one, 3/4 or 3 over 4. Okay, we need to turn that into a fraction with 12 as the denominator. So to do that, we got to multiply 4 by 3. We also have to do that to the numerator, 3 times 3. So what does that give us? So 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 3 is 12. Now we can do our addition. So we have 4/12 plus 9 over 12 equals, add the numerators, 4 plus 9 is 13. Carry over the denominator, 13/12. That's an improper fraction. We want to convert it, right? 12 goes into 13 one time. What's our remainder? 1. So we have 1 and 1/12. As a proper fraction, that's the answer. 1/3 plus 3/4 is 1 and 1/12. Okay, this one's a little bit easier, number 4, because we already have a common denominator. So that one's a little easy. We get a little bit of a break on this one. So we can just do our math. 3/5 plus 2/5. We don't have to convert to a common denominator. We already have one, 5. Okay, so 5 is our common denominator. Put that in a diamond. Okay, 3 plus 2 is 5. And then we carry over our denominator, 5 over 5. Now don't put that as your answer, because you got to convert that. If you have the same numerator and denominator, the answer is just one whole. Okay. All right, we got a couple more guys, and then we'll be finished up. Okay, so we have, let me make sure I can still see my sheet. Yeah, I can. Okay, so we got number 5 is 5/12 plus 3/8. Okay, we don't have a common denominator. These are both divisible by 2, 12 and 8. So we can use 12 as our common denominator. Let's see. Is that going to work? And that might not work. Let's see here. What could we do? 8 doesn't go evenly into 12. So let's see. 24. Looks like our common denominator is 24. Okay. I need to do a video about how to find common denominators. 12 goes into 24 twice. 8 goes into 24 3 times. Okay, so that's our common denominator here. Put that in a little diamond. Okay, so let's convert 5/12 first to our common denominator. Okay, to get to 24, we got to multiply the denominator by 2, which means we got to multiply the numerator by 2. That is going to give us 10 over 24. Okay, now we have to do the same process with 3/8. Okay, to get 3/8, to get 8 to 24, we got to multiply by 3, so we need to do that to the numerator also. 3 times 3 is 9. 8 times 3 is 24. So we have 10 over 24 plus 9 over 24. Now we have our common denominators. We can just add the top. We get 19. 24ths, or 19 over 24. That is not an improper fraction, and it can't be simplified because we've got an odd number over an even. So that's the final answer there. All right, one more, and then we're done with this worksheet. Okay, so we have 5/16 plus 7/8. We need a common denominator here. 8 goes into 16, so we can use 16 as our common denominator. Now that's going to save us a step. What that means is we don't have to do any conversion on the 5/16. So we only have to change the 7/8. So let's do that. 7/8, we're going to write it out the same pattern we have been. To get 8 to the common denominator of 16, we need to multiply by 2. So we got to do that to the numerator on the top. Okay, so our converted fraction is going to be 7 times 2 is 14. And then 8 times 2 is 16, right? That checks. So now we've got our fractions in our common denominator, so we can take 5 over 16 plus 14 over 16, and that equals 5 plus 14 is 19 over 16. This is an improper fraction, so we want to convert it. So 16 goes into 19 one time. Okay, and then we're left over with 3/16, which can't be simplified, so 3/16. So our answer is 1 and 3/16. So 5/16 plus 7/8 is 1 and 3/16. All right, so there's our fraction, first fraction worksheet. Hopefully this audio and video turns out okay, and we'll do another one here. We're going to work through fraction worksheet number 2 in the next video.